Hello, my name is Peter, and this is my report on the exploration of generative AI for Teach 219. So, in part one, I created two products using generative AI. My kind of thought synopsis on it was as follows here. I have an example of my product posted on the left hand side there. It was just asking for a simple random sequence of DNA molecules that could then be decoded, specifically ending with a stop codon. That was my first product. My second one I don't have posted because it's very long, which was an entire lesson plan on translation and description of DNA. And right away with this first part here, I was able to see the good uses of it. Like, again, with product one there, I found this a great use example. It's taking just a monotonous task, which is randomly generating letter sequences and expediting the process. It's like using a calculator a little bit. Yeah, I could do +4, +5, +10, +12, +13, but I'm going to type that into a calculator rather than manually doing the math because I can do the manual math. It's just going to take longer. I kind of view it the same way here. The second one, though, I don't know. I found it very concerning because it was a very in-depth lesson plan. It was like a 2-3 page lesson plan. And I mean, for the most part, it seemed pretty rock solid, which isn't a bad thing. Obviously, AI has questioned the authenticity of it or the correctness of it. And I think that's a very real statement to be concerned about because it is. But I found it concerning for reasons other than that, which I'll get into later. For part two, we had to look over the ISU's rules of responsible guidelines on it, and the ones that I chose was transparency and human-centered values. I think that transparency is pretty important for it, which is pretty ironic coming from a student, since everyone knows that students like to cheat their way out of everything they can and not be transparent about it. But I don't know. I feel like generative AI kind of goes against that seventh one of human-centered values, specifically because it talks about prioritizing human involvement by empowering and enhancing professionalism, supportive tools, not autonomous agents. And with that, although it is like, oh, well, I'm using it as a supportive tool, I feel like that's kind of a coping mechanism and it falls more on the autonomous side. There was this talk about this 80-20% rule, which I do not agree with at all. I think that if AI is doing 80% of the work, that it's not a supportive tool, that it is an autonomous agent, and you are the supportive tool to the AI instead. Kind of like if you asked your friend to write a paper and then you changed, the introduction paragraph a little bit. Like, that's reliance on your friend, not you. So that's why I kind of think it goes against human-centered values, as well as the fact that generative AI can be used for different exploitative matters. And also, you got to talk about job security a little bit. Like, as a teacher going into teacher education, that's where it's a little concerning, is like job security, and that's a very real fear. I don't know. I'm sure that's for others as well. But I guess let me get into closing thoughts on that part, which is I don't know. I thought that the rules that ISU sets are very well grounded, that they're realistic. And I do think there is a place for generative AI, but I think that's a very specific case of practice problems, teaching students to use it as a tool to generate practice problems. That's probably my number one use case. But I do think it's a slippery slope that actively hurts education on both sides, because it just becomes an arms race of who's the better cheater, the teachers or the students. Because let me tell you, I know current not biology, but education majors where it's like, yeah, I had AI write this lesson plan for me, and that's what they're doing. And so at that point, it's like, how much are the teachers even learning on how to do their job? They're just shipping it off to AI to do it instead. I do think it's important to know how it works, because then you can't be a jerk to your students being like, I think this is AI written, and have no basis for it. And the biggest thing is fearing the unknown. If you know what it is, then you can rightfully fear it without any uncultured biases, I guess. I don't know. That's my thought process. And I don't know. Like I said, it's a tool. So I'm not going to completely deny its uses there. I'm not going to say no calculators, no computers, because they are tools that other people may have been against before in the past, but they still have their use. And actually, as a biology teacher, I want to talk about how AI is used to identify cancer cells. Like, there is a very good place for AI, but generative AI in education, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that AI itself should necessarily be feared. I guess it's more concerning of like the people that use it in the same way that like this is going to get a little political, but like I don't know. You shouldn't fear guns. You should fear people who have guns. Because it's not the gun that kills the person; it's the person killing the person. So like the AI isn't the problem; it's the people that use it and the slippery slope that comes with that and the complaints that see with it. And last of all, as a student, as a procrastinator, like honestly, the thing that did scare me about it is because I'm one of those people that I'm like, man, this is tempting. This is alluring of like, I wouldn't actually have to do any work. I can just offload this. And then, like I said, do maybe 20%. And then that's it. That's good. That's a finished product that I send that in, get an easy A. Like, I know that that is a tempting path for me and that I know I would become over reliant on it. And so I guess that's where the fear factor comes in. But those are kind of my thoughts using this generative AI exploration activity, not manner. What am I saying? But I don't know. I think it was a good activity. I think it's a good exercise, regardless of whether you're pro AI or not. I think that you at least need to utilize it once or twice that we can properly know the extent of its capabilities and become an informed person in general. You have to, I think it's our duty as citizens and as teachers to be informed. So you can't live in ignorance, and that goes for AI as well. So thank you for listening.